Hi, everyone. I have an amazing guest today. It's Olga Berezovsky, Data Analytics Senior Manager at MyFitnessPal. And for those of you who don't know, MyFitnessPal is one of the most popular health and fitness apps on the App Store. Hi, Olga. Thanks so much for joining us today. I know you also call yourself like medieval data analyst on your blog. Why is that? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself, how you landed in the analytics world.
Hi, everyone. I'm calling myself medieval analyst. I am a little old-fashioned in terms of analytics. I prefer frameworks, process over fancy tooling, and I'm very ridiculous in terms of how I conduct my analysis. I have a lot of checks in place, which double check my numbers. I'm very careful, I'm slow, and that's what I call myself medieval. I was raised on statistics. I have a degree in statistics, so I started in data science. And then later I did the switch from data science towards product analytics, mostly because I was expert of the impact, how much you can create with the data. Any data scientists end up very often in the startups writing the data, creating the right foundation for your tables, for your views, creating your metrics. So one way or another, you end up working with metrics. And if you end up working with metrics, you ended up being under this product analytics head, understanding how KPIs are moving, how growth is developing, steady, slow, fast. So it pulled me in. So I call myself product analyst right now, even though my background is in statistics. That's about me.
Could you tell me a little bit about what does the analytics team at one of the largest health app looks like? What's the team structure?
Yeah, we're the largest in the market right now. That's true. So we call it right now ourselves business intelligence because we're responsible for creating business metrics, KPIs, overseeing the health of our business, overseeing the health of our product. And we have two subdivisions. We have marketing subdivisions. So business intelligence, which is heavily focusing on understanding our acquisition channels, on understanding our new traffic. And there is product side, which I'm the owner for. We are trying to understand how product initiatives move in the business, how we're growing, which direction. We're running a lot of experimentation, creating and defining analytic foundation. So that's my division inside of business intelligence. We heavily, go on.
How many people are there? How large is the team?
We've been changing. We've been growing a lot. I'll say we're about 7 people right now total, and we're very cross-functional. We're like sitting between data, product, and finance, like 3 pieces tied together. You cannot really move without one piece. So we heavily collaborate with data engineering and data platform teams. We embedded into a finance team because we also reporting on financial metrics. And we also belong to a product side because the whole business wrapped around our product, how we're helping for users becoming the right zone, one place to go for any nutritions and food loggings.
And what kind of infrastructure? Can you tell me a little bit about data infrastructure? How do you handle the data? Because to be able to run some advanced analytics or experimentations, I bet you have advanced infrastructure to handle that.
So because we're the largest in the market, we have a lot of users, which means we have a lot of data. We're a big data company. So we have about 15 million monthly active users, which requires to have a substantial architecture and foundation. Right now, we're using Snowflake. So whole analytics is focused around Snowflake right now. For reporting, we're using Tableau. For product analytics and experimentation, we're using Amplitude. And we also using Segment, which helps us to pipe and connect dots around. That's in a nutshell about it.
Yeah, that's super interesting. And I actually seen your blog post where you're kind of dunking a little bit on Tableau, but you're still using it. So it's kind of a good solution after all.
Yeah, we're still using it. We're adopting the conservative BI, which is very financial BI overview based on dashboarding of workbooks. There are pros and cons. I would say for bigger companies like we are, Tableau is working. Tableau would not be my preferred choice if I would be the owner of a small startup, when you have to be really fast, very agile, very flexible, right? Change your dashboards all the time, restate your KPIs. So that might be not the best choice, but for the enterprise and for the bigger type of companies, what you need to invest is sustainability and self-serve access to your stakeholders. So for that purpose, I think Tableau is working for us.
Got it. And on the side of like product analytics, do you recommend to use something, or do you use something like amplitude mixed panels, maybe anything else?
So we use an amplitude right now, and I have extensive experience with amplitude and with mixed panel and with any other tools at different companies. Amplitude is large. They have many products, right? They have product analytics. They also have machine learning products. They just launched it. They also have experimentation product. I believe there are like 10 different products which Amplitude are using. We don't leverage any of them, but product analytics is like the main Amplitude usage.
Yeah, got it. I think it's their core product. They like building some additional tools on top of that, but the main use case is like product analytics. So let's talk a little bit about the interesting stuff, I guess, like the metrics and how to figure out the metrics. Like, what do you think are the top 3 crucial metrics for a subscription-based consumer app? Like top of mind.
That's a tricky question too, because it would change depending on which stage you are. If you just launched it like a few months ago, or if you've been on the market for like 5 years or 10 years, it would change. To summarize, I would say install to trial 1, trial to paid 2, and churn 3. So I believe the 3 KPIs should give you a good landscape of your premium health, of your top of funnel, and overall of your retention.
Got it. Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned this like funnel of install to trial, basically in trial to paid. That's exactly, I can plug in conversion our solution, because we do have like pre-built these funnels. So our clients, once they install our SDK, got this data immediately. So I guess we're on the right path with our analytics solution. And speaking about like product metrics, maybe you can share what is the North Star metric for MyFitnessPal. What is like, if there is like one metric all the team is looking at and trying to improve?
Yeah. So we want to be the main place for people to track and measure their health and the nutrition and the diet. So our North Star is actually to watch food loggings. We offer our users to log food, to also log meals, create recipes. We want to encourage them to log more frequently, to create a habit for it, and this way to reinforce a healthy diet and a healthy lifestyle. So that's what we closely monitoring. Also to point 3 KPIs which I gave you, they're very premium heavy, like subscription heavy. Okay, there are a lot of other things companies should watch for, like daily active users, like retention for free users. There are a lot of things. Just want to clarify why I chose those 3 metrics, because when you launch your app and you grow, those are foundational things you need to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely makes sense. Since like our audience and our clients of conversion, most of them are subscription-based apps, and for them it's very important. And indeed, as you say, I think like 70% of our clients are using trial offers extensively. So it's like mostly they offer some kind of a trial before the user need to pay, actually.
Yeah, that's quite common.
Now let's touch upon never-ending topic of A/B testing. I actually took this wording from one of your blog posts as well. So maybe you can share a little bit about like general approach to A/B testing, where to start with it. Let's imagine some early stage company, not like a huge established app, but small starting app with somewhat limited resources. What do you think would be the best starting points? for A/B testing?
I will start this telling many people don't really think about that. There are two different crucial types of A/B test. There is when you launch a brand new feature and then like doing rollout, and very often you actually launch it as a test. Or another when you run in more classic way of A/B testing, when you take an existing feature and you just like reiterating, improving, or it can be user flow, it can be like CTA, coloring, there are all type of flavors. So depending what you're doing, there are slightly different processes. So for launching a brand new feature, that's mostly considered like rollout, and you should follow product adoption. There's slightly different KPIs there. So you need to think how users. So the process is different. You need to do more market research. You need to connect more with your baseline metrics. You need to run a lot of forecast even before you launch the test. How your population of users is going to move, how they're going to discover your feature, how it's going to affect premium. If you run in a more classic way of A/B test, the process is more straightforward and usually involves multiple steps. The first step, you're formulating hypotheses. If you're a product owner, you kind of need to debate, is it even worth to test? Does it make sense? If you expect only 10% lift, is it even something worth doing it? Then you pick up your baseline. You run estimation, how long your test will be running. Is it like 2 weeks? So you're about 5 months timeline to reach significance. You're making sure you have all analytics in place, name for your events, CTAs, whatever you want to test. Then you launch, ideally with a small rollout to like 5% of traffic. Monitor how it's doing, performing. If all is good, you expand the traffic, monitoring. Then analyst usually lets you know when it's data significant. And you pause the test, you run analysis, and analyst grades recommendation for you. Are you okay to remove the control, or something does not look good and you need to relaunch, or pause, or reiterate, or whatever. So those usually crucial stages for A/B testing.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of stuff to handle. Do you recommend to use any tools? Once again, what could be like?
For tools,
yeah.
I would say start with the process. Develop the process and framework within your company, and then look for the tools. Speaking of the tools, there are companies who do it in-house. There are companies who take advantage of different vendors. And there are pros and cons for each of those. It really depends on your budget, depends on your size of your company, the volume of the data, a lot of things, right? I've been on both sides. So I've been burned there and there, and I was taking advantage there and there. If you want to build in-house, you need to be, you will have some struggle with the flexibility of the rollouts, most likely, as it's the most common issue which I have seen. If you're taking advantage of the tools, like vendors, you're going to have struggle integrating it with the analytics. I probably want to highlight one A/B testing tool right now in the market, Ep.9. I think that's the only one tool which actually lets you integrate the analytics with the A/B testing platform. So whatever KPIs you have in-house, the active users or trial to paid conversion or your churned user, you're actually able to A/B test against this group based on the logic which you create yourself. So you don't need to recreate on what events do you have, are they making sense. You like doing it in-house, but you're taking advantage of a vendor. I think it's the first type of tool on the market, which I just learned a few months ago. I'm a little obsessed with it. So yeah, that's regarding tooling. Regarding the process, I don't believe there is a good tool out there which can help you streamline from first step to your last step and provide documentation for you and provide communication platform with your stakeholder, all of that. You will need to work on it in-house.
Yeah, that makes sense. And about pricing, do you like recommend and do you run like pricing A/B testing?
Like price for subscription, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like how to figure out what would be the best subscription duration, price, and stuff like that.
I'm a little intimidated by this type of test. I believe pricing iteration, like the most difficult type of product changes you can do. It's very impactful and it's very crucial for your business. I think any price iteration starts with a heavy market research to understanding what's in the market. and thinking in which group or bucket of tools you fall in. So what is your range from up to bottom, right? So once you've done that, then testing becomes easier because you can like pick any price from your range, which you already agreed based on marketing research, right? Another piece of pricing test, what I find challenging, it really depends on the store where your app is running, unlike any other metrics. So if you're working with Apple's, like in Apple, you need to connect with Apple Store to make sure you set up the right pricing for them, which fits into the guideline, how your tool going to be positioned in the store. If you work with Google Play Store also has their own thing. So the price is a topic which is not only belongs to you, but also belongs to the store. What other important things with pricing? There are different types of subscriptions: monthly, annual, 6 months, 3 months, right? All these type of variations, which makes it really challenging for analysts to forecast how specific price gonna improve your LTV or improve your revenue or gonna change your net new, because you don't know the proportion of users who gonna end up on which type of subscription. So let's say you have monthly and annual. So historically, naturally, if users buy, they prefer to buy annual than monthly because it's cheaper, right? So this ratio between annual and monthly, it's not 50-50, it's about 70-30, or it also can be like 75 or whatever. So any movements of those ratios really affect your revenue and really affects your forecasting. And when you launch in brand new tires, like let's test 7 months, right, or 9 months, how you estimate those ratios before you even launch the test? You cannot, right? So you just have to launch and see, which is a dangerous thing to do if it doesn't work and you're small, right? Guess my recommendation with the prices: do small rollouts. If you can segment users, don't pull from annual cohorts. I really love annual subscriptions. It's what's your driving LTV, right? So if you have opportunity, if you've currently user on a monthly subscription and you offer them a new price, yeah, do so on monthly. Don't pull away from your annual users. Let them stay. Go safe way. Do not like affect your LTV numbers. And there are different approaches how to go with that. So to summarize,
that makes a lot of sense. There are indeed a lot of complexities there. We do have some tools in conversion for like pricing, A/B testing, but you are correct. It's a very complex stuff. And with it's interesting that you said that you kind of prefer annual subscriptions, but I think it's much harder to estimate, especially for. In UApp, it's super hard to estimate the retention rate for the subscription because they have to wait basically for a year to see what's the renewal rate for the subscription.
But it's easy for MyFitnessPal because we've been 10 years in the market, so we actually know.
That's the advantage. That's the advantage of like large app that existed for many years. And I think for younger companies, for apps who are just launching, might be good to test with monthly subscriptions as well and figure out what's the LTV, at least some approximation for LTV much faster.
Yeah, and I also want to mention one more tool to help with pricing test, an overall test. It's called Super Bowl. I think they build the whole tool to help you navigate through positioning, like top of funnel metrics improvement and price metrics improvement. So if you wanna, for example, you want to test 10 different price ranges, right, for different users. So that's a really amazing tool which you can like quickly set up it in-house to small traffics, run fast, stop it, iterate, move them around, change prices, do it again.
We know about them actually. It's kind of a competitor. We do have some very similar stuff there. yeah, definitely. All right.
Better market research.
Yeah.
But it's good. This what market is needed right now. That's exactly this type of tools, which is a big demand.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, in case of like large existing app with significant revenue, you do have internal team and you have resources to actually run a lot of tests internally, to handle the data internally, to do some complex experimentation internally. But for young apps, for apps with small analytics team, it's so much harder, and it's like a no-brainer to go and use like third-party tool. Actually, that's what we recommend, of course, to do.
Totally.
Let's talk a little bit about retention as well. I've seen your blog post on retention, quite extensive, like overview of retention metrics. And could you share a little bit highlights from that post, maybe like what types of retention to measure, what to measure there?
I spent a lifetime on retention. I like it. This whole topic has a good challenge to take because it's very difficult to move. I have never really seen improvement in retention within a few months. It takes years to improve retention. So to start with, your retention will be completely different depending if you are B2C, B2B, or SaaS, right? Depending on your business model, you might have free users, you might have small segment of paid users, or large segment of paid users within the free users. So depending on what type of your business, your definition for retention and measurement will be way different. Then if you want to approach retention, it should fit into any other engagement KPI you're using. For example, if you're using daily active users and you're active based on login event, or let's say you're mobile, right? So it's based on screen view event. So for your retention, you should also code it based on screen view event. If your active definition is based on app open, then create your retention based on app open. So keep it proportional with any other engagement KPIs you keep in for the volume of event. Then I usually end up creating two different retention metrics, one for free users, one for paid users. If there are paid subscriptions, For paid subscriptions, it's more commonly to look for churn rather than retention, actually doing both ways. But if you don't work with subscriptions and you like B2C, all free users, retention for free users is going to be the right way to go. There are two different types of retention. We call X-day retention and we call unbounded retention. There are actually three more, and each of those can be segmented. I will keep it high level. So for X-day retention, X-day meaning a specific day, so you want to look on which day percentage of users come back, like day 1, day 7, day 30. Unbounded retention, when you're more flexible and you just, let's say how they come back in between first to 5 days or 5 to 7. You're not really too strict with days. And again, depending on which business you're using, there might be different types. For subscription-based, if you're working with trials and you're looking like trial to paid, and then you're estimating churn based on like monthly subscriptions, annual subscriptions, it's recommended to use X-day retention because you can tie to like retention 30 days or 7 days if you're weekly basis and so on. And then for reporting retention, because I'm mid-level analyst, I usually go through SQL. I would go to Snowflake, to PostgreSQL, but whatever database you have, ideally structured. I would create a table which I would call activity, which would contain activity event for every user, and I would calculate retention based on there. If you're not an analyst and you're product owner, you don't really know SQL, don't really have this analytics maturity at your company, you will take advantage of tools like Mode, Heap, Amplitude, right? All this product analytics, and they do it retention for you. The challenge there, it's very easy to misread. It's most likely you will be over-reporting your activity, so your retention will be higher than it is in fact, and it might not be proportional for different user segments, so you need to be really smart how you set up analytics. There are a lot of like specific.
Why is that? Could you explain why do you think there is a bias to like over-reporting retention?
So the way how those amplitudes are integrated through SDKs with your mobile is that they take in all mobile activity which happen in the app, okay? Which is like app opens, so anything which is user is doing, right? Rather, not always this data is going through the store or through the backend, right? So if users started a paid subscription, you will see events started paid subscription. But if users decide to cancel subscription or to change subscription, they need to leave your app. They have to go to Apple Store or Google or Play Store, right? And they need to change subscriptions there if they cancel or no. And these events, quite often, they're not flowing back into your app.
Yeah.
So your app does not know about that. I think it's like naturally open issue because I've seen it 5 different companies, the same thing.
Yeah.
So in Amplitude, you most likely not even having a clue if they canceled, or they cut the premium, or they moved from annual to monthly, right? For all of those variations. So if you B2C, it can be fine. If you don't have paid users, yeah, you're just going to pick up open for everyone, done, you're ready. But if you want to be smart about how you're approaching premium users and you want to see retention, users who paid for you, are they coming back on like 7 days, 30 days? You will not know. You will not have this data in Amplitude to start with. And there are a lot of workarounds today on the market to solve it, yeah. And depending how mature you are, you already probably addressed that, right? We have segment, we have all those, and even Amplitude itself introduced a lot of products. I'm just telling for the most common case scenario what you have to be prepared for. It might not be ready to work with an Amplitude.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, absolutely. We are very well aware. I understood what you are talking about. It's actually there are ways to like get accurate data with server-side receipt validation to collect the data from on the server and send them to Amplitude or Mixpanel. We do have these integrations in Conversion. Actually, a lot of our clients are using the integrations.
And it's crucial for you like to understand what metric you have, because you're going to report this KPI. And if you don't have it, or overcount or undercount. Another good example for like active user. So every time there is a notification firing in the app, it can wake up an open event. It just really happened in Amplitude, and we've been overcounting. Many companies have been overcounting. So your user does not open an app. They simply receive notification, but notification can trigger an open event. Well, actually not an open. I think it's trigger session start event. So if you create your attention based on session start, there you go. You fucked up. You cannot really tell it anymore. And there are like dozens such examples. So you need to put in place your analytics. You need to know which event, what it means, when it's firing, when it's not firing. And only after that, go create your KPIs, right? And then think how you report it.
By the way, you mentioned push notifications. And in the context of retention and decreasing churn, do you recommend, do you do some win-back campaigns where you try to incentivize people who are canceling to get back through a discount or some other way?
Yeah, win-back, famous term, means different things. Super hard to measure usually. So speaking of win-backs, I like to think in terms of resubscribers. Like, can you resubscribe user back? And I don't like win-back because quite often they resubscribe, but there's nothing you really do. They just organically resubscribe. And sometimes there's something you do to encourage them to resubscribe. And it's very challenging to draw this line where it's organic resubscriptions or where it's something you do from your site and it's actually true win-back.
You mean you can hurt your natural reactivation, natural resubscription if you are providing some kind of a discount?
There are many apps who are seasonal, right? So users buy subscription during the summer, for example, because they want to start exercise before summer months, and then they cancel in September, and then they're back in May again. So, or before Christmas time, right? There are so many seasonal apps. And users tend to have short-term subscriptions, and as they keep coming back, it's not really related to your win-back. Actually, your marketing might do nothing. It's just natural, organic resubscription flow, which is happening, which is amazing if it's happening, right? So with win-back, you want to measure your effort of marketing team or product team through notifications, through emails, through promo codes, through any of the campaigning, right? It's very hard to measure. But to answer your question, yeah, notification is proven to be one of the dominant factors to bring users back. Yeah, we have seen it at MyFitnessPal. I have seen it for other companies, and it's a very thin line between not over, I don't want to say spamming, to over communicating with users, to reaching the right users, and that's the biggest pitch of any user lifecycle tools. is that you need to segment your users. You need to know which user should receive notifications, which user should not receive notification, right? And then you need to target the notification to a specific group, which often requires matured analytics at your company.
Yeah, makes sense. I agree that it's quite complex stuff. Still, from like our clients, what we see is that if they have very accurate, timely data, server-side data, basically on cancellation event, and like a push notification or email communication is triggered immediately upon cancellation event, for example, it can show pretty good results. And also with the refunds, when people are really unhappy, they do a refund. You can kind of reduce the damage, let's say, or avoid negative comments and stuff like that if you just communicate with these clients. If you have accurate data, who are those clients who are refunding and canceling subscriptions?
So if a user cancels subscriptions, that's how you try and to win them back, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Send them notification or email.
Yeah, and it's super important to do it super fast, like immediately when they cancel it, while they still probably have the app. They have not yet deleted the app yet, and you can kind of communicate to them.
I think it's important when they have still access to premium. Sometimes you cancel, but you have like 1 week left. You can take advantage of the tools. So this gives you like a way to reach out to users one more time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. Listen, Olga, it was super interesting to talk to you, and I think all our listeners should just go to your like personal webpage where you're sharing a lot of this stuff in much more detail. It's really technical, actually. I read through it today, and it's pretty amazing. Like, and
still has to be.
Yeah, I kind of feel happy that I don't have to dive that deep into like that's statistical and other stuff now. But we have people on the team who are in charge of that. What would be the best way to find you? Like, shall people go to your personal webpage or?
Yeah, so I have a blog. It's on Substack. It's called Data Analysis Journal. Please subscribe. That's what I write about, how to improve retention, engagement, anything product analytics, data analytics related. You can find me on LinkedIn, and as of a few months ago, you can also find me on Twitter.
Oh, awesome. All right, Olga, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you too.
Thank you.